Welcome to Pod Me If You Can. I'm David Farrell.
And I'm Lloyd Hughes.
Today we're talking about Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Comes out December 17th here in Australia, and Lloyd and I are both equally excited about it, aren't we, Lloyd?
Oh, absolutely. Doesn't this bring you back, Dave, to when Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, came out? And I remember whenever that name was mentioned, Star Wars, Episode 1 or Phantom Menace, I would grab a VHS tape that I had specially, out for Star Wars, and I'd just record it, and I'd watch the trailer or those fragments of images that they showed on whatever, whether it was a news story or a little special on the making of. I would record it to tape and watch it over and over again, trying to piece together the whole movie. We're in this day and age now where we're getting, YouTube channels or podcasts like ourselves, where we're doing trailer reactions, we're doing reactions to posters, reactions to casting announcements, writer announcements, director announcements. So it's an interesting time. We're using this social media technology and everything together to really cater to our enthusiasm and our love for Star Wars.
And the funny thing is, too, the reactions of the reactions become memes. John Boyega's had got a whole bunch of memes now about how he reacted to the second Star Wars trailer. It's hard to avoid it, but the TV spots have started. All the advertising is everywhere. It's print media. It's saturating. It is now everywhere. And look, everybody's very excited about it. It's being pitched as possibly going to be the highest grossing film ever. Can it take on Avatar? It's going to be amazing because, $2 billion. That's what people are saying.
What's your experience with Star Wars, Dave? Like, what did Star Wars mean to you from an early age? Because we both grew up in the same area. Was that like one of your earliest memories?
To be honest, one of my earliest Star Wars memories is Star Wars vs. Star Trek. And I remember thinking, Star Trek? What is this? Like, having no idea what it was, because Star Wars had lightsabers and space battles and spaceships and like good and evil and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and so many things about it that I suppose that's what got me as a kid. I never had the toys, but I always had video games. So whatever Star Wars video game came out, even for Episode 1, remember we were like pod racing and just all kinds of stuff. But from a young age, yes, the thing about Star Wars is now, especially coming out from 1977 to now, it's generational. So people are bringing their kids and people are bringing their kids, and you teach your kids to like Star Wars from an early age, and if they rebel, I guess they like Star Trek. I don't know.
My experience has been always magical with Star Wars. I love everything about it. In particular, Return of the Jedi. I was so obsessed. I'm always usually rooting for the bad guys, and I just love Darth Vader, and I love the mystery of the Emperor, how he had those guardian red knights and those weird priests around him. And just in that room, the climactic battle between Luke, Darth Vader, and the Emperor, how they would battle on there, it was just amazing. The whole world, the whole Endor world with the ice, Battle of Hoth, where they're battling on that ice world, and then we go to Yoda and he's training in this swamp. We go to Cloud City. It just takes you in all kinds of environments. It's an absolutely beautiful world, and I absolutely loved it. And I just remember how excited I was for Episode 1, because Return of the Jedi came out when I was born, so I missed out on all that hype. I just wasn't aware of that. And then they re-released it in cinemas, but they added all those special effects. I don't know if you went to the cinemas to watch all that.
I didn't watch the re-releases, no.
Yeah, George Lucas re-released all these new editions. He's kind of made a mess of them now because it's really hard to find the originals. I actually had to watch the original Star Wars as a special feature on a DVD somewhere. So it's just so disappointing. It's just like, man, can't you release all this on Blu-ray? Just the originals, what I remember watching.
Well, the thing is now, Star Wars has become a religion. People actually put Jedi as their religion on census papers, The danger now moving into The Force Awakens is whether or not it's going to live up to the hype, whether or not it's going to erase the bad memories from the original, from the, episodes 1
episode
through 3.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, and how do you find 1, 2, and 3? Are you on the same boat? You don't like them? Because there are some people out there, and I think there's actually quite a few out there that do like episode 1, 2, and 3. And I think they're particularly a much younger audience. They just like the CG environments,
Special effects.
Exactly, the special effects. And then watching episodes 4, 5, and 6 is a bit harder because the puppetry and the gritty, I guess, miniatures and everything like that just looks a bit fake to them. Or where are you on that?
Well, I much prefer the puppetry and the originals, and which is what we're going to see in J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens. Pretty much all the CGI and, unfortunately, the acting in the episodes 1 through 3. I've been rewatching them recently in the lead up to this, and some of the lines, some of the acting is so disjointed and wooden and doesn't quite work. Even the scrolling text at the beginning.
Get him, Dad! Get him! Fire!
Get him R2, get him R2. You got
That's
him
when
R2.
Star Wars
Good job,
died for me. When Boba Fett's son started going, get him, Dad, get him, fire. Then he does that laugh. Oh my gosh. I was like, what is going on here?
The thing is, like, even, I think it was episode 3, the opening scrolling text into space says, war, exclamation mark, and it's got a real, like, war has begun and this is happening, like an old-timey feel to it. Everything was so comical.
I think that's what it was supposed to do, though, getting back, just to defend George Lucas a bit here, just to get back to those Flash Gordon roots, which is what the film is based on. But you're absolutely right, there was something off about 1, 2, and 3. There were moments where he got the magic back of Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, and there were, I think, episode 3, when it got really, really dark. I think he went over the edge there with Anakin's arm getting cut off and his legs all cut off, and he's going, I hate you. You know, I think he went a bit too far there, but there were fragments where something about the music and Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, something about the performance of Ewan McGregor. And there's a bit of that magic. Oh, wow, Star Wars is back. You're getting all excited. And there was a lot of that in the pod racing sequence. That was really exciting as well in episode 1. But you're absolutely right. A lot of that was completely off. It doesn't feel like the original Star Wars. And you just can't sort of like question... You sort of question George Lucas's sanity at some points.
For me, the issue is you know what happens in 4, 5, 6 if you're a fan. And so therefore all the suspense gets taken out of 1, 2, 3. You know he's going to turn into Darth Vader. You're just kind of watching for the how. Mm-hmm. And you know Mace Windu's not going to make it, you know. You're just kind of going through the motions at certain points. And
well, like I personally don't mind that, because we had this big discussion on Exodus, Gods and Kings. How you said, "Oh, I know what's going to happen." There's, you know, all the threat and drama's gone, you know, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But for me, episode 1 introduced Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul, and I was like, awesome! Like, look at all this fresh stuff
Darth
going
Maul,
on.
Yeah, he was like the coolest character, and he just gets wasted.
Yep, they wasted the characters, but. I'm looking at Force Awakens, and this is the age where spoilers, everything is tight. You know, you can't escape spoilers, but the trailers have given us more than enough to chew on.
What was your reaction when you saw Harrison Ford?
Look, loved him in the little snippet in the first trailer. I mean, there's a great YouTube video where somebody's clipped up Matthew McConaughey's reaction in Interstellar when he watches... You know, and it was fantastic to see.
That's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, but seeing him in the second trailer, the most footage we have now for Force Awakens, he's got actual dialogue. You got more of Chewie. There's more to the story. We're getting a lot of Han Solo, and it's great to see him and Leia, and the fact that Leia's grown up, obviously, but no Luke Skywalker, Lloyd.
Yeah, they've done. Firstly, I just got to say how masterfully cut those trailers were. Beautifully done. This is how trailers should be done. Arguably, they got the best editors you could possibly get to make this. They didn't give away the plot at all. Like, we're right now, everyone's piecing together what they think the story is going to be about just from the fragments they're getting from the trailer, and it has done its job. It's got everyone excited. I remember at the end of watching the second trailer that was released only a week or so ago, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. My heart was pounding and everything. I just got so excited. It did its job. Well done. Yeah, and it was just great seeing all, you know, the original cast members on board. I think this is going to be really exciting.
Well, the thing is, I feel like even if people think J.J. Abrams is going to ruin this, they're still going to go and find out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everybody wants to see. There's such a curiosity about this, whether it sinks or swims. That was the same with Episode 1.
What do you think of getting J.J. Abrams to direct Star Wars Episode 1? Because he's taken on the Star Trek franchise, opened it up to a whole new audience. I'm really worried that Star Trek and Star Wars now, because they're being helmed by one guy, they're going to start blending and looking very similar. One thing I had in my youth was Star Trek and Star Wars were very different franchises. The style, the look, the choreography, the action, everything about them two were very different. And now what we're getting is a very similar looking, and I don't want to tease J.J. Abrams about the lens flare. I know he's being a bit cheeky with that. I think he was anyway with the trailer, because there was a big lens flare with when they had the villain looking out of the window into the space. I don't want to pay him out about that, but the look is very similar with Star Trek and Star Wars, and that's what I'm really worried about with those two franchises, how they're just going to blend together for this new audiences, and they're both going to seem like, just big sci-fi action movies.
Look, I'm hopeful. I'm one of the people who has now joined the Star Trek fan base because of J.J. Abrams, and I was a fan of Lost, and I've seen things he's produced like Cloverfield.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, Dave has been a big fan of J.J. Abrams since Lost. So
yeah, I wasn't on board for Felicity and Alias. There are certainly people who were, J.J. Abrams fans well before I was, but I got very into Lost, and I was the kind of person who was week to week debating spoilers theories, and I was one of those people who would rewatch season 1 in between seasons 1 and 2, and rewatch 1 and 2 in between season 2 and 3. And I got very into it. I'm not ashamed to say I got the book S, or The Stranger, that J.J. Abrams co-wrote recently. I'm a fan of his work. So
what's your favorite of his films?
I beg your pardon?
What's your favorite of his movies?
I'm hoping Star Wars The Force Awakens, Lloyd.
You can't say that.
I can't yet, but I can in December when it comes out. Interestingly, I'm going with my wife, and she's going in really negative, or like, how good can it be? And she's really like setting low expectations, whereas I'm going in going, it's going to be great, of course, So it's going to be really interesting to see if one of us comes out disappointed after the movie, or if we both it meets expectations, exceeds, this is the fun of speculating, Lloyd.
I think the studios have done a brilliant job at choosing J.J. Abrams. He's a very safe bet. He's made an incredible franchise out of Star Trek. Now, I don't agree the direction where he's taken Star Trek. In my opinion, he's turned it into a very generic action series when, Star Trek's more about diplomacy and science fiction, not this science, this action sort of world that he's created. And I think he's mishandled and been a bit childish with the cast he's been able to get in the Star Trek films. Like, he's been able to utilize Leonard Nimoy, and sadly, of course, he passed away just recently, and I don't think he used him really well, and I don't think he used a lot of the cast well at all, like particularly Simon Pegg. I think he's a very brilliant actor and a very talented guy, but the way J.J. Abrams uses him, it's like, cut to the British guy for a funny line, cut back. I just don't think he has that level of skill or maturity that utilizes a cast of that magnitude. And that's what I'm really worried about with Star Wars, is he's got access now to the original cast. It's such a cultural significance having Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and I just hope he doesn't utilize them just to make a good trailer. I hope he really gets to the core of these characters and just uses them for who they are, the characters. And so I've got my criticism with J.J. Abrams, but I'm going in very optimistic, and I'm very hopeful this will make a lot of money, which I'm confident in saying it will. And I just hope we get a whole new franchise out of it. I hope we're having this same episode on episode 8, on episode 9, on episode 10, and all the branch off episodes that they're planning to do of the Star Wars universe.
I think the fact that it's being franchised, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Disney bought for $4 million, half cash, half Disney shares. They bought the rights from George Lucas.
$4 million?
And $4 billion,
sorry. $4 billion, yep.
$4 million a bit cheap.
I'll pitch in for that.
Yeah. Do you know Simon Pegg's actually in The Force Awakens
Yeah, I
as a
saw that.
stormtrooper?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. He's just going to be there for comedic lines, just I'm personally over that. I know a lot of people love it, but I just see it for what it is. Cut to the British guy for a funny line. Simon Pegg is a lot more than just a caricature, and that's what I'm worried about. If J.J. Abrams turns a lot of these great characters into caricatures.
Well, I don't think you'll know it's him in The Force Awakens.
Okay.
But because he's going to be a stormtrooper, I don't think he's going to talk.
Okay. So he's just... Oh, I see. Yep.
It's just so he can be in both franchises, and I'm sure he just visited the set that day, but it was just kind of a fun thing to do. J.J. Abrams is a fan of Star Wars. He's on record saying how important the series is to him, how he doesn't want to let people down. It's a massive weight on his shoulders, no doubt, but to be honest, he's creating this whole new world and characters, and the fact that we have all the original cast still alive is great in terms of continuing the stories. You need those characters to pass the baton of Star Wars to the new characters, really.
And good on George Lucas for giving up his baby for this. He just pretty much admitted, okay, I'm done with this now. I'm going to pass, as you say, the baton on to the next generation, and kudos to him for giving it up.
Should we get into possible spoiler territory? We know nothing.
Yeah,
we know nothing more than anyone else.
I just want to quickly say, did you see the directors that were up for? I think we actually discussed this on a podcast, one of our upcoming ones. Did you see the directors that were up or asked to do Star Wars Episode 7?
I believe. It was a long list.
Yeah, but some of the ones that stuck out for me were Guillermo del Toro, Christopher Nolan, Ben Affleck. Those directors would have been absolutely amazing to see what they would have done with the Star Wars universe.
Since the poster came out, Lloyd, everyone's been speculating about lots of different things, but it looks like they're rebuilding a Death Star on there. Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is going to continue the work of Darth Vader if the trailer is to be believed. So building a Death Star makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yep, you think they're going to be able to... I mean, you don't introduce a bomb in a movie without exploding it, so...
Well, what I'm very hopeful of, that they don't make the stormtroopers all clones. And I'm not sure if one of the main stars is a stormtrooper that's, getting away from it. He doesn't want to be a stormtrooper anymore. And, I'm very hopeful of that, because the idea that stormtroopers are clones, I really want to get away from that. Forget that. Let's say all the clones are dying off and the stormtroopers are now recruiting actual people. Because, I just thought that was really...
so.
Yeah, I think that was a really silly device.
From a young age, I mean, it sounds like John Boyega's character has been doing this. Finn, it is... He's been doing this his entire life, and so maybe he was recruited as a child soldier and groomed into warfare.
And this has taken place 30 years after Return of the Jedi, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel like Daisy Ridley's character Rey and Finn are both going to be kind of a yin and yang of the Force.
Yep.
So the Force will be strong with them both, and I feel like they're both needed to bring balance to the Force. I also feel a bit like Rey is on this little planet, where she's, what do you call it, going through the scraps and stuff.
Yeah, she's a scavenger.
That's the word I'm looking for, a scavenger. So I feel like she's been put on that planet, maybe perhaps hidden in the same way Luke was in Episode 4. This leads me to my theory. So what I'm thinking is Han Solo is now saying in the new trailer of The Force Awakens, the Force is real. It's not all myths. It's all real. I believe it, Whereas before it was hokum, He didn't believe in the Force, but something has changed in 30 years, and now he does. My theory is Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is the son of Han and Leia. And I think as well, to continue the theme of Luke and Leia, there are twins, and so the girl was hidden, and that was Rey, played by Daisy Ridley. So she's going to find out she's more special than she thinks she is, and I feel like the big question is Luke Skywalker, who's been hidden from all of our trailers, Lloyd. There's a big rumor that he could be a bad guy. What do you think?
I think he's run away and kept in seclusion because he's worried that he could be turned to the dark side. There is that element where he was really, I think, traumatized. He's suffering almost post-traumatic disorder, what stress disorder, whatever that is, because of the events that happened between his father and the Emperor. And I think the battle scars are very deep, and I think he's put himself in seclusion to not be turned into the dark side, or he's afraid of anything that might happen. So he's living a very monastic sort of lifestyle away from everyone.
Well, that's what Jedis are. They're basically monks. They should not know love or anything, material possessions.
He's become like Obi-Wan.
Yes. Well, I mean, Mark Hamill was spotted with a beard, so there might even be a physical resemblance as well.
I can't wait, Dave. It's going to be awesome.
What I hope they don't do is make Luke Skywalker a Sith Lord. I don't want to see Luke Skywalker underneath the Kylo Ren mask. I don't want to see him on the Knights of Ren, which is the evil group Kylo Ren's a part of.
If they kill him and he turns into a ghost like Obi-Wan, I really don't want Luke to go out without a fight. Like, I know that's a big thing with the Jedi, especially with how Obi-Wan dies, but you know how he just withdraws his sword? And then it was just a distraction, so Darth Vader tries to cut him in half and he sort of disappears. I want Luke to go out with a bang. I don't want Luke to just, I'm now a ghost. You know what I mean? He's still alive, he's still informed, there's still a lot of things he can do rather than be this voice of reason or wisdom.
Well, I think we need Luke in the same way Yoda trains Luke. We need Luke to train Rey and Finn. I'm thinking there'll be 2 in training in Episode 8. So for me, the real danger is that they could kill off Han Solo and or Chewie. I think both of them going down in a blaze of glory, and there'd be a scene where Chewie makes a grisling noise at Han Solo, and Han Solo says, "I know," as if to say, "I love you too," There's going to be so many nods to the original trilogy. I feel like they're the ones we should worry about dying more so than Luke. Look out, Han Solo.
I hope not. I hope you're absolutely wrong, Dave. They can't die. They're going to be immortals forever.
This is the thing. I mean, Harrison Ford fell down on the set and hurt himself. I don't know if we'll have him for the entire modern trilogy, if you will. He didn't want to be in any more Star Wars. Back in the original series, they put him in carbonite because they weren't sure they were going to get him back for the next film. This feels like a stretch, getting him in for this one. So,
okay, so you don't see him coming back in 8 and 9?
I don't think so. If I've got to call it now, I'm going to say Han and Chewie both die together, saving the new heroes, basically. And that by the end of the film, they'll be on track to train with Luke on some mystery planet and, harness the force powers that they now demonstrate in this film.
That's a big call, Dave. I think it's like the Avengers or Marvel thing. I think they're just worth too much money to kill off. I think they're going to just either put him in carbonite or write him off, that Chewie and Han Solo go off to a distant planet to stay away from everyone in hope that they'll come back, for another one. But if not, we're happy with that end of story for them, that they've just ran off to a different planet. I don't think they're going to kill him off. They're just worth too much money.
See, now, I think this is us passing the reins from one to the next. I think you have to have somebody else piloting the Millennium Falcon by the end of the movie. In the same way in Star Trek, you've got a new captain by the end. It could be Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron. Mm-hmm. For me, the one person I think is safe is Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, because I see him as the new Darth Vader, if you will. So therefore, he has to have that 3-movie arc which ends in his redemption, whatever that may be. So I see his character as safe. I think he'll live, get away at the end, whatever you like. So I'm going in watching this thinking, though we're going to see the Force Awaken in the 2 of them, in Rey and Finn, I see this being kind of ending in a stalemate, I suppose. That this, you might get Andy Serkis is playing a possible villain as well. Yep. And I think, you'd kill off his character or somebody else's character, so to have a smaller victory, I suppose.
No, it looks to be very exciting, Dave. I really can't wait for The Force Awakens. I think, as I've said over and over again, we're very, very spoilt, our generation, and I'm just really excited. Especially after that trailer, it just really pumped me up for The Force Awakens. So I'll definitely try to see it with as bigger audience as possible, and hope that I take in all the applause, all the oohs and ahs and reactions of everything that happens in the movie. And I'm really hopeful that J.J. Abrams pulls this movie off and makes it a really good movie, and we don't get, I think, the most aggressive reaction J.J. Abrams has had in his movie career has been Star Trek Into Darkness, which I think was a terrible action movie, and I just hope that doesn't happen with Star Wars. I can't see it happening because, again, the bar has been raised so low with episode 1, 2, and 3. I think everyone is just hoping for a lot of fun with this, and that's what Star Wars is ultimately. It's a heartfelt, fun movie that we can all enjoy.
Looking forward to December 17th here in Australia, and
we're going to be covering that on a podcast as well. So this is the preview episode, and then we'll definitely be covering Star Wars: The Force Awakens. You'll be hearing all our reactions, what we thought of the film, in our special podcast episode on Star Wars.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.